This doesn't surprise me. It should shock, it should outrage every American. Quite honestly, by now, it should be obvious to every American that it's not the Republicans that are a threat to our democracy. It's President Obama, it's President Biden, it's the radical leftists that have served and support them. It should not have happened, and we need to understand exactly who was involved and exactly how this all happened, how it all got approved, and who all, in the end, knew about it.
And that was Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin with me on Mornings with Maria on Fox Business this past week, reacting to the breaking news that former special counsel Jack Smith had him under surveillance as part of the FBI's Arctic Frost investigation into the events on January 6th, which formed the basis for Smith to prosecute President Trump. Johnson was one of 9 Republican lawmakers to have their phones tracked by Smith, which allowed him to see which numbers the lawmakers dialed, the length of the call, and the location of where the call originated from and was received. Joining me now is one of the other GOP lawmakers that Jack Smith had under surveillance, Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty. Senator, thanks so much for being here.
Certainly, Maria. Thank you for having me. And before we start, I just would appreciate the ability to let everybody know this morning how my heart and my prayers go out to the 20 Tennesseans whose lives were lost at a munitions plant explosion on Friday here in Tennessee, in Hickman County, Tennessee. Frankly, men and women around the nation are working in our munitions industry and our supply chains to try to rebuild depleted stores so that we can become competitive again as a nation. My heart goes out to all of them. My prayers, my appreciation, my thanks.
Well, we will pray for them for sure. And I know that we've been trying to make munitions as fast as possible, and they've worked hard at doing that. So thank you for mentioning it. Tell me about this Arctic Frost investigation and what happened when your phone was tracked.
Well, it's amazing. It's not the first time it's happened to me either, Maria. It happened to me when I was, again, in Trump's first election. I was a finance chair. I went into Trump Tower to help him in 2016 after the election. We were surveilled there. I think you may remember Michael Flynn was taken out through that process. Again, this was an Obama-era surveillance. Now, this time in the Biden administration, they've decided to surveil 8 senators and a Republican congressman. The one thing we all have in common is that we're Republicans. And I guess my crime must be that I've been an ally of President Trump for years and served in his administration. So it's just shocking that this would happen, that they would surveil our calls, that Jack Smith, just after putting President Trump under indictment, decides to come after his allies in the United States Senate. I think they believe that they would, be able to just completely take down the Republican Party. I can't imagine what they're looking for, but it is just shocking to no end that they've done it. I sent a letter to Verizon, the carrier, on Friday demanding that they let me know why they'd done this. They said that they were operating under a subpoena. Well, I want to know who issued the subpoena. I want to know what they were looking for. We're going to get to the bottom of this, Maria.
So in other words, the Democrats sent a subpoena to Verizon and forced them to release the records.
That's what that seems to be the case, according to Verizon's response to my query. So I want to find out exactly who it was that had that issued, who was working for Jack Smith, what the pretext was. There was no pretext. It was just that we were allies of President Trump. That's the only thing I can imagine. But we're going to have to get to the bottom of this. This lawfare has got to come to an end.
How will you get to the bottom of it? What are you going to do?
I think we've got several options to take, legal options as well as hearings. Chuck Grassley is already talking about bringing everybody in. He's talking to the folks at the DOJ, at the FBI. And I'm really curious and want to understand exactly what Verizon was doing and why our information was was leaked out by an adversarial administration coming after us. Why didn't they inform me that that was happening?
Should we assume that since they sent a subpoena to Verizon, they sent it to AT&T as well?
I would presume anybody that was a carrier. I don't know who the other senators' carriers might be, but I presume they sent it to a broad swath of carriers in America. This should never be happening in America, yet it did. And I don't understand why people didn't step up and say, wait, something is wrong here. When we've got a Democrat administration coming after solely Republican senators, what could they possibly be doing? This environment of lawfare it was obvious what they were doing. They're going after President Trump using every means that they could to defeat him. And obviously, these are inappropriate means, beyond inappropriate. And now they're coming after his allies in the Senate. It's inexcusable.
It's just unbelievable. Let me get your take on the other issues at hand. And of course, the government shutdown. You just heard what Senator John Fetterman said. that he is always against a government shutdown, whether Republican or Democrat, and yet it feels like Chuck Schumer and his colleagues want this to continue.
This seems to be the play. Chuck Schumer somehow thinks, and he said this past week, that every day this shutdown goes on, it's better for us. And my question, Maria, who is us? It's certainly not our military who are not going to get paid. Thank God President Trump has figured out a way to do that. It's not our air traffic controllers. It's not our TSA who are somehow keeping the system open, although it's being slowed down. If you think about what's happening with law enforcement in Portland who are being attacked, they're not getting paid. Somehow Chuck Schumer thinks it's a win for him to see these people who are trying to protect everyday Americans, to try to keep our systems running, that they should not be paid. It's crazy. But Chuck Schumer's waiting, I hear, until next Saturday when the big march in Washington takes place, the No Kings March. This way he can appease the radical left of his party to show that he's willing to fight Trump to every end. No matter what happens to the American public, by the way, no matter what happens to our national defense, our national security, and to the ability to protect and help those most needy here in America. He's willing to sacrifice all of that for his own political career, because if you polled it today, Maria, Chuck Schumer would lose to AOC in a primary in New York State. That's at the very bottom of this, is my thinking.
So you think that this is all political and he just wants to be able to go on that No Kings rally and stomp his chest saying, I'm fighting Trump, regardless of what's happening with citizens who are not getting paid?
Maria, you summed it up. I think that's an excellent summary. This is all about politics. It's about Chuck Schumer's political future, and Chuck Schumer has been a politician for, I think, from a career he's made out of being a politician, and it's at stake right now. Again, he's underwater with the radical left in his party. New York State is changing. New York City is changing, and Chuck Schumer is trying to bend to the radicals in his party, and I think he's doing it to the detriment of our national security and to Americans across the country. So
should we expect that he will come to the table, get the votes needed after the No Kings March in Washington, then, in a week?
I've got to believe that, Maria, because Chuck Schumer certainly isn't winning. The Democrats aren't winning. The people across America that I talk with are extraordinarily frustrated and fed up. They know exactly who to blame. So I think he's going to have to come to the table, but I'm shocked that he's willing to do this to the country over the coming days.
Senator, are you worried about China's spiking aggression right now with the rare earth minerals?
Oh, it's deeply concerning, Maria. As you know, I was U.S. ambassador to Japan before, in the first Trump administration. Spent a lot of time in that region. The rare earth minerals have been a target of China's for years, for decades. We should have seen this sooner. We have got to be very cognizant of the fact that they're using this as a strategic weapon, and President Trump is very right to step up and push against it.
Okay, we will leave it there. Senator, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Maria.
Bill Hagerty, thank you, sir. And we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Compagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.